The following podcast is brought to you by the Johners Podcasting Network, found exclusively at wrestlingwithjohners.com.
Welcome to this week's episode of Work the Left Side. I am joined this week by Craig Anderson. The dude was a referee until a few years ago. He worked in sort of Yorkshire, Derby, and a few other places as well. Very cool guy. He did a bit of commentary as well for Tidal Wrestling in Leeds. And yeah, we just sit down and generally have a chit chat about kind of getting a ref's perspective on, you know, the business, the working with the boys, what's important, and stuff like that. It was a really good chat, and we didn't cover half of what I wanted to cover as well. So this is literally part one of a two-part chat. So I'm gonna get him back on the show ASAP, and because the dude refereed Global Force Wrestling when they were in the UK, so I didn't even get a chance to talk to him, you know, about Jeff Jarrett, Mickey James, Nick Aldis. We kind of covered a lot of the old school British stuff first. So we talked about Rampage Brown, Chris Travis, Martin Kirby, and a lot of the British promotions that he worked for. So I hope you enjoy it. It's a bit different, so let me know how it goes. Let me know in the comments. So yeah, if you haven't already as well, hit subscribe, hit like, share, and just try and show some love to the channel. But yeah, that's it. Thank you for coming back, thank you for watching, and we will see you soon. So welcome to this week's episode of Work the Left Side. I am joined by a gentleman I know well from his time up in Leeds. He is the referee, or the former referee, Craig Anderson. How are we doing, man?
I'm good, thank you, mate. How are you? You good?
Yeah, I'm all good. Thank you for coming on. This was, I'll give credit where it's due. This was Mr. Deagle's idea. He said,
was it?
See what Craig's got to say for himself, because he'll never admit it, but he's looking forward to hearing your stories.
Oh, bless him. Well, but as much as it's Dan's idea, like, you know, you don't have to have me on, so I do appreciate you kind of saying, like, do you want to come on for a chat and stuff and go down travel down memory lane a little bit? So let's go for it. Let's just do it.
That's it, because I didn't really think about getting a ref's perspective. It's not something, not besmirching, you know, after the dudes in stripes, but it's something I've never really thought of. But you guys must have come across so many different sort of scenarios and situations and, you know, like stories. It's, yeah, I'm kind of annoyed at myself for not thinking of it, to be honest with you.
I mean, you know, you can do refs, ring announcers, you know, there'd be people that just go to places, set up rings, and that they are part of ring hire. Like, there's people that I'm sure everyone's come across that they just seem to be at every show, you know, in a certain area, like a territory, almost like whether it's up north, down south, in the Midlands, and they're doing ring jobs, and that's how they make a good level of their income, by just hiring rings. And I'm sure, wrestlers aside, they've all got their own little individual stories about, you know, different promotions wanting certain, just little different things. And as you know, as Dan's probably said to you in the past as well, and I'll say today, the same as referees will have a different look on things than everybody else will do on a show day.
That's it. Well, talk about refs, obviously, being a Leeds boy. I also know you from commentary at Tidal as well, so you know, you've tried your hands at a few areas, but the main thing that people will know you for is because you got around as a ref, man. When you was up here, you ref for a lot of promotions. Obviously, you know, you had Tidal, which was your home base, Leeds one. There's a few others, but you wrestled for like any other promotions that came up into the area. You kind of you got shouted out, didn't you, kind of thing? You know, I know you worked with a lot of other promotions as well around Leeds or around the area.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, I feel bad now. I might forget some. I've got some up here on. I'm using Facebook as like to help me because like it's been great because when you said, do you want to do this? I'm like, oh cool. I'll just jump on. Like I got this old Facebook page that I used to like not promote me because refs don't have fans. That's not how it worked. But it was how to promote the shows I was going to be on.
Yeah.
But no, you're right. I was quite lucky. I mean, I guess I'll start from the beginning, really. Like I started with Grapple Wrestling, who have just closed their doors, from what I'm led to believe. I've seen on Facebook and Twitter. And you know, I trained there. I did the same stuff as the wrestlers, and I expressed an interest in reffing. But the original reason I got into it was because I was in the middle of a media degree, and I wanted to get more experience in like ring announcing and commentary. So that was the thing I wanted to do, and I didn't know if Grapple were huge, if they were small. I was just like, "Oh, cool, wrestling in Leeds. It's like 5 minutes from my house. Let's message these guys." And that turned out to be Paul Clark, who people may know as Paul Parizio, who was the promoter and the owner at the time of the company. And yeah, he just went, "Yeah, great, come down." And I watched a couple of sessions. I jumped in and refed a couple of times, and then I bought a pair of what I guess you call them Lonsdale, like boxing wrestling boots, and from Sports Direct in Leeds, and then I kind of jumped in and got involved and started doing bumps and putting together 2 or 3 minute matches, you know, as a wrestler to learn more about positioning and where to be and how to be, and you know, from then you just do the grapple shows, you just do them all the time, and then you know, like wrestling is like if you do well and people think, oh, this guy's okay, he's not gonna make a mess of it. Do you want to come and do this show? And it's like, okay, cool, I'll come and do this show. And then you work with maybe bigger wrestlers or better wrestlers, and then they go to a show and go, oh, we haven't got a ref for that show. Oh, this guy called Craig, he lives in Leeds, just started. He's okay, like he's not bad. Like give him a chance. And then it all starts from there. Before you know it, you're you know, you're in a position where you're you know, lucky to be reffing not just the top guys in this country, but you know, some of the imports, the guys coming over from the States, from Europe. You're lucky in that situation. So it literally kind of went grapple, and then that was at the time it seemed a natural progression into Tidal, where I ended up doing quite a lot of stuff originally on commentary with Aaron, and then when Dan sort of hung up his stripes, I transitioned into reffing pretty much straight away. So we didn't really miss a beat then. That was quite easy to do. But then it was like NGW. They looked after me. I was on a lot of like really big shows for them. Because of them, I ended up on TV, which was really cool, like Made in Leeds and Challenge TV. And the Challenge TV one, that was great because that was more of a national thing. Made in Leeds was still pretty cool because it was still telly, like I'm on the telly. So NGW was really sweet. That was really cool. And then I started getting on a lot of Hope shows as well, Hope Wrestling, which is like Derby area. I did a lot of shows there. For down that area for those guys, which was great, and they gave again more exposure to bigger wrestlers and a different area of the country. Now we've left Leeds and now we're in the Midlands, and then I did a couple of shows for Southside, which again that's even more south. You know, I know they did shows up north, but I think the one I was on was in a couple of was in Stevenage, which was actually not that far from where I live now down south. So it. And there is a bunch of other promotions in there. There's loads. I think the other one that I will give massive props to is a company in Sheffield, EBW or EWA. I might have got that the wrong way around, but it was Andrew Hogg and then Dave Stewart did Phoenix Wrestling. Both of those guys and those organisations give me again a lot of exposure in Sheffield, which is still Yorkshire, but it's now a different part. And they used me for you know, a lot of their shows, which was great. And sometimes we'd have 2 shows. We'd have a matinee show and then an evening show, and I'd be the only ref. And so they trusted me with that, which was great. So, you know, it just shows that you start off in one place and you just persist and just keep plugging away and you know, just try your best. Show up, shut up, and listen, and you know. You know, you'll learn a lot more from being quiet than you will from putting your oar in. So
That's a good mantra, but that's a t-shirt. That is, show up, shut up, and listen.
If I was still in the business, I think I'd be on to a good friend of mine, Kieran, who designed some stuff for me. I think I'd be on to him to make a shirt for me. So
I think it speaks volumes though for the guys that you were working with, because obviously that's how, like you sort of say, you turn up, you do your job, you get a reputation as being a good worker, because obviously wrestle workers as well. You know what I mean? That you have to go in there, you have to know your positioning. Like I say, you have to take bumps. You learn to take bumps for certain spots. Obviously, if there's a ref bump involved, you've got to know how to do it. So you guys are workers as well. But yeah, it's the talent on the show that will obviously spread the word. They'll be like, "Oh, I worked for this really cool ref, in this place. If you ever need a guy, hook him up," kind of thing. And I presume that's how your name pretty much got out there, because especially in Leeds and Tidal, it was very much at the time when you had like I want to say the OG, not the OGs, but the godfathers of the new generation of British wrestling, like your Kirby's, your Travis, you had Haskins in Tidal, Matt Miser's been there, obviously all Rampage, they were all sort of Tidal alumni, and they go everywhere in the country, so you've worked with them and they've got nothing but praise for you. I'm guessing, that's.
Well, I assume so, but you don't. But you're right. Those kind of guys, like Project Ego, Liggs, Trav, Christ, who else? Like Sam Wilder, Sam Booth. Those boys up there as well. Sorry, Kaz Crash, the Proven. Those boys got around as well. Like Nathan Cruz, he was, worked with him a lot. Rampage, worked with him a lot. But you're absolutely right. These are guys that aren't just in it for 5 minutes. These guys have been in it for such a long time. They instantly, and the one thing I'd hear from a lot of those sort of seasoned veterans, even at that point, was a good referee will be invisible and you won't even know he's there. But a bad referee will ruin a great match. Yeah. So, when you're working with, and to be fair, when you, especially early on, when you are working with these guys that are really good, that's when you probably find out if you're kind of riddy or not. And I think my first real big shot was for True Grit, which James Carr, JC Thunder ran. Yeah. And Paul, to be fair, both of them ran it together, and then James took over on his own for a while. And again, I've got Dan to thank for that gig as well, because bless him, Dan actually, he couldn't do one of the shows. It was like the True Grit Cup, I think, and it was a one-night tournament. I think it was in Leeds. It was on Kirkstall Road, I think.
Yes, it was.
In the nightclub.
Yes, the nightclub. Yes.
So there was an 8-man tournament on one night, and that was my first big exposure. And like the first match I went out to was Kirby versus Trav, which was just like, and I was like, well, I don't know, I'd reffed a few shows, but it was still like, oh, okay, I know who you two are. Like, I'm not going to screw this up. And like Styx was like, Styx is another guy, man. Like he is. I remember first time I met him backstage, I was just like, he was sat there, he was quiet. And this is a guy who, if you don't know him, you just think he must be scary and whatever. I don't want to spoil his, but in a respectful way, he was just really like helpful. Do you know what I mean? Like he knew exactly what was going on. But he was there, Cyanide, another OG, I think. And then you had, I think the ladies' match that night was Lana Austin versus Violet O'Hara. They're two girls that I reffed a lot, and I'm sure the Lara meme with me clapping and her twerk. That was in True Grit. That was in True Grit. So that picture. I think that picture alone got me more gigs and bookings. Because that's the pervy ref. Which is why I got called a lot. People are like, oh, I don't know your name, but aren't you the? I'm like, yeah, that's me. Hi, whatever. Who are like, there was so that was the level of people. Rampage was on that show. Liggs was on that show. Wow, yeah, there was a lot of big people on that show.
I remember that show. It was a good venue as well, kind of thing, because you had like a bit of an upside. You had an upstairs.
Was it Prism? Was it Prism?
I want to say it was Prism. To me, is in Leeds City Centre, but I don't know nightclubs.
Was that the other one?
Probably might have been Prism, but I know Prism used to be Oceana, and
there was. there was that one in the town centre that we did. And we had to take the ring up like 3 flights of stairs. It was a great venue, but it was just really rubbish to get the ring in.
Yes.
But yeah, that's that show was probably the one where I was like, right, Craig, it's, you know, you're newish to this. You've done a few shows for Grapple Reffin, and I did one other show for a small company in Redcar over in that kind of Middlesbrough area. That was mainly because of Liam Lazarus as well, who again, wow, like that. We were pretty tight. Me and Liam at one point, we was on a hell of a lot of shows together. Especially he was doing Grapple as well. We do Tidal sometimes in the same day. So I spend a lot of time with Liam, and he, you know, he's another guy who, without him, I don't think I would have done as many shows, particularly up in the north, because we just spent a lot of time. And Liam was super successful, especially in NGW as well, which is again because of him and Legs and Rampage and Cruise. They probably all got asked by Rich Dunn, who runs that promotion, like, is this guy any good? And I would imagine they've gone yes. And the Proven, like I said, Sam and Kaz, they probably said, because again, I work with them a lot. So like you say, you work with these bigger guys on smaller shows, and then you get a chance. It's like you've got one chance to make a good first impression, and if you screw it up, then that you could be tarnished, man. Like, you know, I've seen referees, you know, on bigger shows, and they've screwed it up, and that's it. Whenever you're in a car with people, whenever you're talking about, you know, oh, this, you know, you can't do that show, that's fine, who should we get? That name might come up, but then someone will say, no, not him. He can't be trusted. He screwed up this, and it could be one spot in one match, and then you're done. So it can be ruthless, but
Was it? I was at Sean Only, obviously Pete.
Oh yeah, another guy I worked with a lot. Yeah.
He told me of this this really, really bad match where the ref just must have been really green. Unfortunately, sounds like the nicest ref ever, because as a heel, he complained about the opponent getting the 1, 2, 3, like saying, "Oh, it's not fair, this, that, or the other." So the ref just restarted the match, and it's like, "No, don't restart! Oh no!" So yeah, they have to wait another freak out then somewhere else.
That's not like, good.
But yeah, it sounds like it, like the nicest referee possible. It's like, oh, okay, I'll start it again then.
Yeah,
like, don't do that.
That just sounds like, I agree with what Sean has said there. Sean Only, he uses his gimmick name, Sean. That it sounds like the ref was very, very green and thought, oh, if the heel is asking me this, maybe I should restart the match. Like, and that's the thing. Nobody, as a referee, yes, we all know what wrestling is. It's this wonderfully, beautifully entertainment, you know. But you know, it is what it is. As a referee, you peel back the curtain a little bit. You'll know maybe like, okay, match is 10 minutes long. Wrestler A beating wrestler B. Cool. Thank you, boys. See you out there. Be safe. All the best. The rest of it, you have to react to what they're doing, and that's your job as a referee to you know, there's two. Oh, if there's plenty of times I've refereed matches where someone's shoulders have stayed down for 3 when it shouldn't have been 3. And that's it. Match is over. Bye. And you have to call it on the fly. For the referee, your match is effectively like a shoot within a work. And if you don't clue up quick or figure out quick, then like in that match there that Sean had, that kind of stuff can happen, and everyone around looks a little bit stupid. Even though it's not your fault, you can still look stupid by association. So
yeah,
it's pretty rough. It's pretty rough.
But a story always kind of uses me. I'm just like, no idea who the ref is. Maybe one day we'll find out. But we'll just deem him as being the nicest ref ever. Obviously, as well, you wasn't just a ref. You kind of got involved in storylines every now and again with the, you was the evil Mexican.
I did.
Evil luchador. What was that all about? Was that just the general? It speaks volumes for trust in yourself to be able to carry a storyline as well, man. You're not just a ref anymore. You're part of a story. What was that all about?
I mean, it's no secret. Like, Liggs lived in Leeds, I lived in Leeds. Like a lot of the guys did, and we shared a lot of car journeys down to Hope. and to other like NGW, various other promotions. And we'd sit in the car, and we'd chat about wrestling, chat about everything wrestling related, everything. And I think for him, and obviously not for me at the time, I was only a referee, but for him, he wanted to be part of a storyline and wanted to be going and doing something that was gonna mean something, and you can pitch storylines to any promoter. By the end of the day, if the promoter says no, we're going to keep this as this, we're going to keep her as a manager, or him as a manager, or him as the ref, or her as the ref, we're going to keep them there, and then that's their job, then fine. But we had this idea that I would be above my station a little bit, and we had a couple of ideas, and we went to the promoter, to Harvey Dale, and okay, this is our idea, what do you think? And he was like, okay, then tell me what you want to do, give it a try, see if it works. And first time we did it, and I pretended that Liggs super kicked me, and after losing, and he was a bad loser, and I ran with it, and I was like this aggrieved ref. I was saying it was unsafe working conditions, and then I had so many different wrestlers help me. I had Chris Tyler, his dad Reigns. If you don't know who Reigns is, go find out. The guy's a legend. I love Reigns so much. I had LJ Herring, Paul Malin. I had Birchall. I had Blake. I had all these wrestlers at various different times help me. I had Hustle Malone and Team Mad, who Hustle's doing some brilliant bits. His mic work might actually be the best out there right now. He has been for a while. But Team Mad, they helped me a lot. And I did all sorts of things. I sung his music to distract him. I kicked him in the fruit and berries to distract him. Chris Ridgway was another one. I helped him win a match by knocking out the ref and getting my ref top out and bringing the bell. I dressed up as Ligero, which he told me it's done before, but the thing I am most proud about that, Nick, and I mean this, is that I shaved my head for that, so people thought it was him. I asked to borrow a t-shirt because, Jesus, nobody wants to see what's underneath my ref top. And it was like, if I'd have come out with just the mask on, the tights, and the cape, it'd be like, what's happened to Liggs? Whoa, someone's been on the old pancake. So I was like, I need a top. So he gave me a massive top. I bought an undergarment thing, which is like a skin tight thing. And I went round 3 sides of that ring, and not one person thought it was no one but him. Everyone thought it was him. It wasn't until I reached up to the top rope and put my arm in the air that some people in the front, who I knew really well, could see. I was like, that's not him. And then obviously I couldn't do the flip in that he does. So I couldn't do that. So I kind of pretended to do like a baby roll in and like a forward roll, obviously. And then so me and Hustle had a 30-second match. He pinned me with a finger poke of doom. And then he actually did come out. But that was there's a great photo that Brett took, the Hope photographer, and it's basically Team Mad holding him either side and me just fully about to kick him in the gentleman's area, in the fruit and berries, and that was great. We had a 6-man tag, and which was great, and we also incorporated moved in Whitey as well, who was like the Hope Wrestling OG. He was the original Hope Wrestling referee, and he'd kind of retired and came back, but he came back as well, and he wrestled as well in that match because he used to be a wrestler, but then just like, I'll be a referee instead, and was a ref for years. And everyone loved Whitey, and they hated me, so we thought, screw it, let's run with it. But between you and me and anyone else watching this, I don't know whether it was right or wrong, but I wanted one more match. I wanted just me and Liggs, and I wanted a street fight. And then I was like, then I'll leave. I'm done. I'll leave wrestling. I want a street fight. I'll lose, and we'll be gone, and we'll do it there. But it just never happened. Like, you did the 6-man tag, and I think maybe the guys at the time thought that's a fine finish, and it was a good finish. Like, I'm not unhappy with how it finished at all. It was brilliant. I enjoyed my run doing what I did, and Hope and that gave us the platform to do that, and for people to be like, this is really cool. And I was, again, you have to ask people's opinion of it, because it's easy for me to sit here and go, Oh, it was okay, or it was brilliant. But at one point, I was probably one of the hatest people in that company, and we used it in other places. We used it in Phoenix as well, in Sheffield. Like we used it there too. Like I cost Liggs a match, kicked him in the fruit and berries again. Quite like doing that apparently, and later on he came back to the ring, gave me a cutter. So in a different match. So we were able to you know use that around the country a little bit, and it worked. Like people knew that we didn't like each other. So we did actually use it in more than one company, which only added to the whole, Craig hates Ligero hates Craig kind of thing. And yeah, it was a
cool.
lot of fun.
Because, well, from an outside perspective, it got over huge. I remember, just fans at shows and places I'd go to and stuff, shows I would go and see. People were talking about it. It was one of those things that people were talking about it, and they just had a massive smile on their face. It was just one of those, but in a good way, man. It was kind of like, they love these little bits and bobs here and there, these little sort of, acts of deviousness. He was like, use a British Nick Patrick or something. It's just kind of like,
cheers, man.
The hated referee.
I'll tell you, that's a nice compliment. I like that. Thank you.
That's all right. But I like the fact that you kind of did it through other promotions as well. Because as much as I love British wrestling, and it works sometimes it can be really frustrating when certain people are a certain way in one promotion, and then you'll see them in another promotion, and then they're totally opposite, and it's like, I kind of like, I like that character more than that one. So it's nice to get a bit of continuity sometimes.
Well, because we were both on a lot of those northern shows, like a hell of a lot of them, it was just a naturally pure thing. And promoters would come up to us and say, "I've seen what you're doing in Hope. Can you do a little bit of that here?" And that was genuine conversation we had. We were like, "Yeah, sure. Like, what do you want us to do?" And we between him and me, it wouldn't take us very long to kind of be like, okay, I'll cost you this match. You come out later, give me a cut. It happened in True Grit as well. We did a spot where I was a wrestler called Danny Binks. I was his manager. I was basically now a little bit of a Nick Patrick, a little bit of a Bill Alfonso. I bought myself a whistle. I had a whistle. I was an absolute nuisance. I was such a pain. Again, there's photos on my old Facebook page of me flipping him the bird. Oh, no, I think he was flipping me the bird, and I was just leaning into him with this whistle in my mouth, and I was a pain, mate. I was such a pain. So I got so many RKOs or diamond cutters, whatever you want to call them. I got so many off of him from that, but I enjoyed it, mate. It was brilliant, and he trusted me, and that said a lot about how he felt, which was great, and I was really happy to do that. And you know what, as a ref, if you're asked to do it and you feel comfortable to do it, great. But I always remembered that I'm a referee first and foremost. If people want to use me in different areas, great, let's talk about it, let's do it.
Yeah, but that's it. I suppose it's like people are there. If you can do anything to heighten those guys, to elevate them, or progress the storyline on, that's what you're there for, kind of thing. I presume would be the mindset.
Absolutely. I mean, nobody's there. Okay, maybe in the heel role I was in Hope, people wanted me to get my ass kicked, and naturally they were happy because I did get my ass kicked by him more than once. But predominantly, I'm not there for that. They're not there to see me really. Like, more often than not, that was just that one great storyline that we had for probably nearly a year. We managed, I think it was like 9 or 10 months we worked out that we actually managed to make a run for, which was great. But for the most part, they're not there to see me, so I'm there just to kind of make the rest, I'm there as a ref or as a supporting act, if you like, to make everybody that's my role, and their role is they're on the poster, there people there to see them and pay their money to see them.
That's the one. But for what it's worth, man, I remember that storyline. I can remember it being really over, and people just genuinely loving it. So kudos on that, because
thanks,
it
man.
was awesome. So we've mentioned Travis when we were talking about True Grit. What I generally ask, obviously not everybody I have on the show has had the pleasure of working or knowing Chris, but for people that I know have, I generally like to get at least one Trav story, just to kind of keep the memories floating around. Have you got any hidden gems, any nuggets of Travis wisdom or hilarity?
I've got a funny one, but I've got a special one as well. So the special one was I got to officiate a Project Ego match in that last run. He did well. He had it was him and obviously Kirby in again that was for Phoenix as well over in Sheffield. That was amazing to be in the ring when Kirby was in the ring and Trav's music hit and he came in. The place was ballistic. I don't think nobody really thought he was there or he would be working, but he came out. He looked incredible as well. That was really, really special. Like it was, yeah. I'm feeling now. I can feel it already. Just that, yeah. It's really weird. Like I didn't think I'd feel like that. That's you feel it. But the funny one was that first match I talked about earlier when I was like still pretty green, but like was given this really big opportunity that I knew I couldn't screw up because I was like, oh, they're never gonna like. I know these guys are my friends, like the promoters and that, and that's their training school, Grapple, but. True Grit, this is the opportunity. Don't screw this up. And the first match on this card on this tournament was Kirby versus Travis, and they were both down. I was doing a double down, started my 10 count, and I got to 7 pretty quick. Probably because I was nervous, but it wasn't a slow methodical like giving them time to rest like I would. Like I know how to do now, where you can make a 10 count last like, I don't know, a minute maybe, or a bit longer. I don't know. You can make it last pretty much however long you want. I think I got to 7 in like literally 7 seconds. I got through it really fast. Like I was like, oh, it's literal 1, 2, 3. And I just got to 7, and I could just hear down from the mat going, because obviously you didn't know who the fuck I was. He goes, oh, slow the fuck down, ref. And I was just like, oh yeah, I'll slow down a little bit then. So I had a little giggle to myself and checked myself in, and but that was I was lucky enough to work with him a few times, and he was brilliant. He was a really lovely bloke. But that's my kind of really warm story and my my really really funny story that I always remember. So yeah.
Every time you counted slowly after that.
Yeah, pretty much. Like honestly, I don't think I ever got too quick on a count ever again, and so I got Trav to thank for that.
Always remember Mississippi. It's so obviously wrestling. Was you a fan of it? Obviously, you must have kind of had some interest in wrestling to contact Grapple, way back in the day. Did you watch it as a kid? Is it something you was a fan of? Did you get into it purely because of the media content? Or I mean, you got a below t-shirt on now, so obviously you're a fan these days.
Oh mate, yeah, I loved it. I remember my mum not letting me watch it as a kid, which I guess as a young boy I thought, well, if my mum won't let me do it, it must be fun. So I would go around my friend's house, and this is how it used to work in like late 90s, early 2000s. My friend whose uncle had Sky, which I still think back in like 2000, 2001 was having Sky, or Sky Sports box office was like a really big deal. And not that many people really had it. And that's how you used to watch the pay-per-views. So my friend's uncle would record the shows on tape it off the pay-per-view, give it to him, he'd watch it, and then give it to me. So we were like a really low budget time tape trader at like 12 or whatever. So that's how I'd watch it. And then for Raw and SmackDown, I'd go on WWE.com and just watch the highlight videos. There was no YouTube in 2000, 2001. There was virtually barely any internet. I remember going on CFAX to look at like rumors about stuff. I remember going on a channel on CFAX. Like that's how I found. I was like, who's this RVD guy? Like I was like, who is Rob Van Dam? Like who is Lance Storm? And like when the whole invasion thing and ECW dubs. Because to me, I only ever watched WWE and or WWF at the time, and I had the games. I bought the games. Like I wasn't allowed to watch it, but my mum said I could play a video game with it. So I was like, okay, that's logic. Let's go with that. Whatever. So I played SmackDown and then SmackDown 2 and then SmackDown versus Raw and then all them. So I didn't miss a game like that for a long, long time. So yeah, that was always fun creating your own rosters and things like that. So yeah, fan from being very, very young, and then obviously getting the chance to be in Leeds and doing a degree. I really wanted to work in radio broadcasting, so I was like, well, let's see what Grapple are up to, let's see what their shtick's about, and it just that was it. It was just that one thing into another and into another. So You know,
Awesome.
that's man.
The obviously I've been smart with the picture that I've used of first to promote yourself being on the show. Because obviously you're on there, but you stood very closely with Mr. Drew McIntyre.
Mhm.
Where was that? I mean, obviously you've refereed a former WWE, a recent WWE former champion.
Yeah, that was actually Phoenix Events over in Sheffield that Dave
Was that
Stewart
Phoenix
ran.
one?
Yeah, that
Okay.
was a Phoenix one. So he obviously contacted Drew and said, obviously booked him. So what they did is that they on the first match of the show was a battle royale, and the winner got a shot at the ICW World Title. So that was an ICW World Title match.
Yeah.
So I've never worked for ICW, or I haven't worked for them as such. I did when they was in London, I did go to one of their shows and I helped out as part of ringside crew and stuff. So I've worked like that much for ICW, that much, and that was mainly due to Wolfgang. Actually, he helped me out with that, which was great. He was great, and that a lot of the Scottish lads that came down to Hope, particularly Hope, like him and Jack Jester, they were like, cool, he's okay, he's not going to screw up, sort of thing. So they were cool guys as well. I have to say that they are lovely, and Viper as well, and the Casey and the Owens girls as well. There's a lot of the Scottish guys that came down to Hope a lot. That Dale would book, and they were really, really sound guys and girls. So big props to them and stuff they've done. But so yeah, the hopes that's that Phoenix show. They came did the first show. Oh god, I'm gonna forget the guy who won now. I know it was Joe. I know his name is Joey. Joey Divine. I can't remember. Joey. We call him Joey.
Yes.
And he won, and then he got the main event title shot against Drew. That's how that worked.
Oh.
And yeah, so I got to ref Drew before after in the main event of that, which was really cool. So again, he was again like he's a humble bloke. Like he obviously this is in between the times he worked for WWE, so you don't know what kind of person you're getting. Are you getting this guy that's going to be like bitter or mad or what, or you're going to get this guy that's just really happy? And he was just so happy all the time, and like he, you know. I sort of bumped into him again at a South Side show, and he was like, "Oh hey, you ref my match." So you know, he seems really personable and remembered people. So that was cool. He was a nice guy, and it was a good interaction. It was a good it was a good bit for me that I enjoyed that.
That's awesome. It's always nice to hear as well, because you always kind of think, like you sort of said, you don't know what kind of person you're going to be getting. Somebody's been, you know, they've reached the highest of the highs. You know, they've been kicked out. You know, are they going to have a chip on the shoulder? Are they going to think that they're the big I am? Are they going to refuse to talk to people because you know where they are now, where they were previously, kind of things? So I think that's awesome. That you know, Drew. Generally, everything I've heard sounds like he's a really down to earth kind of guy.
Yeah, very cool guy, really cool.
So obviously, again talking about sort of imports, I'll sort of say going to Tidal. I can remember Ricochet being at a Tidal show.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to place it whether you was on commentary or reffing at the time.
I got to ref that. It was it was Ligero, HT Drake, Ricochet, and Chuck Taylor in a four-way, which was, I mean, Chuck Taylor, that was great. That was a great match. I really enjoyed that. Ricochet was at the time one half of the IWGP. I don't know if it's called cruiserweight or light heavyweight tag team champion at the time. So I got to hold that really quickly behind. I was like, oh, this is really cool. So that's always kind of cool as well. Getting to see these like titles from the other side of the world and sort of as much as it is. And again, he was huge at that point on the Indies. Ricochet, he was literally massive. He was one of the guys people wanted to book on their shows. And again, like, really nice guy, just loved wrestling, and was like, yeah, this is what we're gonna do, let's have fun, let's go out there and kill it. I was like, yeah man, let's do it. And you know, anyone that's seen a Chuck Taylor match particularly on the Indies, not so much now in AEW where it's probably obviously a bit more structured, but on the Indies he would just have so much fun. And I think he pretty much left the ring at one point, just went off to the crowd and chilled in the crowd. And at one point, there's a great photo of me, Ricochet, Ligero, and Drake doing this like four-way lockup. I'm like, what is happening? Like, what am I doing? Like, this is And then Ricochet, and then I think Chuck Taylor called me a pervert, so I had to, come on, but in a Chuck Taylor
Yeah,
we
yeah.
call everyone a pervert, and so yeah, that again a great. Do you know on that same? I think it was either that show or the different show. Tommy End, Alistair Black, or
Yes.
he was on that same show as well.
He's been at a few titles, wasn't he, to be fair? I remember seeing him
Yes.
numerous times at Tidal. He was kind
Mm-hmm.
of pretty much like not a regular, but he was kind of a semi-regular star.
Whenever he wasn't in America and he was just mainly in Europe, I think that's when Tyler was like, "Oh, he's around. We'll bring him over." So yeah, he was again really nice guy. Like these guys that come in, like I'm sitting there thinking, what was my past interactions with these guys? Like, no, you were really nice. You were really nice. You were really nice. You were really nice. So I don't know if I was just lucky or what, but these guys are just really nice and just loved wrestling. So it's made it very easy to work with them.
I think again, I'm speaking from an outside perspective. I'd like to think that everybody in the building obviously is there. Same with the fans, to be fair, because we've got a love of wrestling. You're doing what you're doing because you love wrestling. Obviously the guys are doing what they're doing. They're doing what they're doing. The fans are there. We're paying money to watch it because we love it. So there should be like general appreciation between everyone.
Absolutely, everyone's there because they love it. I won't say the wrestler because that's not fair. I'm not here to do that. But there was one story where, as a ref, you're there to help everything run along smoothly, whether it's checking on the guys if something's kind of crazy's happened in a match, or you're selling the spot or whatever. I simply went down to tell a particular import how long left there was in his match, and he wasn't particularly amused that I was telling him how long he had left, and he told me otherwise. I won't say who because I'm not here to do that. But yeah, that's one guy in like 5 or 6 years that I did it that was like that. So I was like, okay, and it was an import, so a visitor to these shores. So I was like, okay, I'll probably never see you again, so that's fine. So well, he was, yeah, it is what it was. But like you say, you're absolutely right though, mate. 99.9% of people are there, fans and wrestlers, refs, commentators, promoters. Everyone's there because they love wrestling and they want to put on the best show that people are talking about. Because mate, if they don't put on a good show, they ain't gonna come back. Even it's like, oh, that guy was good, but I'm not paying 10 quid to watch the rest of that rubbish. Like everyone's there because they want to put on the best product they can for that promotion they're booked on. Because then if you do well, guess what? Oh, so and so's great. Book him on this show. So and then again that snowball effect rolls on again. So it's definitely within people's interest, obviously, to go to places and work hard and listen. And like I said, show up, listen, shout, get on with it. Whatever. I can't remember what I said at the beginning, but
was it shut up? Oh no, bollocks.
Yeah, I know. I can't. We have to go back and
I'll
whatever.
Have a look.
Have a look. Yeah.
Show up, stay silent.
Show up, shut up, and listen, or something like that.
It.
Yeah,
show up, shut up. So they could be the first work the left side t-shirts. I'll give you credit if I ever release them.
I'll have 5%. Oh, brilliant! I love that.
So the what was doing commentary like then? Well, stick at Tidal here because obviously that was that ties into the media thing. Obviously, that of course you were doing as well. Was Tidal the one and only place you've done commentary for, or have you done it elsewhere?
Yeah, pretty much. Like I did more ring announcing in other places. NGW, Proving Ground shows for NGW as well. I did actually a lot of ring announcing, grapple wrestling. As I said, the promotion I trained with and started with, and I think I did it for True. I did do it for True Grit as well. But Tidal was the only place I commentated on. And if anybody thinks, oh, wrestling commentary, that's great, that'd be easy. It's really not easy. Like I think. Yeah, I love Aaron, and Aaron was one of the ins for me. But it was like we were trying to find our rhythm and stuff. And like I did it with Seb a couple of times as well. Seb Strife. Again, I love Aaron, but I feel like me and Seb had this more of a natural kind of, I was this not on purposely being a heel, but like I'd be the color commentator, Seb would be play-by-play and lead. I think we just had a better kind of synergy between what we were doing. But Aaron was just constantly enthusiastic about it, and He was a lead singer. He was a singer of a band and stuff. So like, he knew how to speak into a mic and how to do that. And we'd have guests on, like Matt Myers would come and do commentary with us a lot. He was fun as well. So he was another one that would jump on the headsets with us from time to time. But it was fun, but way harder than people think. So if you're ever thinking about doing it, just really prepare yourself because it's so much harder.
It's one of those things like, I can always kind of think of where it would be. I mean, I struggle to talk on here sometimes. I can't even imagine trying to call a wrestling match at like 60 miles an hour kind of thing. I can just imagine it being like, that sucks. We're just going to have to record another one and dub it over kind of thing.
Nick, it's not about the ones that are 60 miles an hour. It's the slower, more methodical ones where there's not much happening. That's the harder one because you got to fill these blank spots. You got to fill these. If someone's, whether it's a rest hold or if someone's just done a big body slam and they're rolling around and they're selling it and the heel's facing out that's when you've got to really sell it and really be like, you're filling this gap because nothing's. Yes, the baby face might be selling, the heel might be going to the crowd, but you need to tell people that. And again, looking back on it, I'm like, I'd probably do a better job now because I've learned and I made lots of mistakes doing it. And I would be like, okay, I wouldn't do that again. I definitely do this different. So it's filling 60 miles an hour, bang, 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 double down, brilliant. Crowd go mental, brilliant. Everyone's delighted. Commentators have got lots to say because lots has just happened. Fans are going mental. Everyone's happy. It's when it's quiet. If the fans aren't into it, then you've got to make it sound way more interesting than than people are looking at it. Honestly, it is. So it's a lot harder than people see for sure.
Yeah. No, kudos to you, man, for doing it. Because, like I say, especially somewhere at Tidal as well, because they had a good mixture of matches. So not every match was going to be a 60 miles an hour crazy match. They did have obviously the very story based matches as well, where things were very methodical and stuff like that.
But you want that too. Like, you don't want every match to be the same because then it gets boring quick. Like, you want a tag. You need. Like I say, you need 2-3 ladies matches. They did a bit of intergender wrestling as well, which isn't everyone's cup of tea. But if you've got if you've got a show with Rampage Brown in the main event, you're going to get him versus Mastiff. You're going to have two solid wrestlers that are just going to put on an absolute clinic. But if you've got JD Boom as your semi-main before the thing, you're going to get something completely different. But how beautiful was that? It's the same thing. It's all wrestling. It's exactly the same thing. But Rampage and Boom are going to Mastiff and Addy Starr who wrestled in those Lego matches. They're going to just two completely different things. Or if Boom's doing a comedy thing, with Lana, did a lot of stuff with Lana Austin with a comedy thing. Those two together.
Yeah.
So that was what Tidal went for. They went for like
that circus.
Yeah, well, that's brilliant. Like that's what it means. If you come to a show and you want to try and to appeal as many people as possible, and I think that's probably what Tidal tried to do to the best of their ability.
That Lego match. Just reminded me of that. God.
Yeah.
Deagles ref that one, if I remember correctly.
He did. Yeah, that's before he retired. That might have been his last show, actually. I think that might have been his last show, if I'm honest. I think he was like, screw this, Craig, you can take over this.
That's the match that broke him. He was like, no, I've seen a man power slam onto Lego now.
Do you know what? I'll give him props for it because he popped everyone because he got out goggles that he spray painted black and white. But Nick, they lasted like 10 minutes. He said I had to take them off. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't see. Like, they had to come off. Yeah, it was, like horses have like this peripheral vision. Couldn't see anything over here. So he had to take them off after like 5 or 10 minutes. But they were great. I don't think anyone saw them coming. He really popped everyone. That was brilliant.
So was you on commentary for that one then?
Yeah, me and Aaron.
I saw it live. I've never heard the commentary for that match, but I can't even imagine just the chaos or the trying to. Because that's the thing. It was one of those matches where probably for the first 5 minutes it was funny as we all stood there with like big smiles on our faces. Yeah. It's like about 5-10 minutes into the match though, it suddenly became very real and very painful, and everybody was just like,
well, they'd it was the end of a big story arc between them both, and they'd again with Joey, it depended really, like, is he going to show up and do comedy, or is he going to show up? And I don't think, because obviously Addy had done Lego death matches and Lego matches like that in the past, whereas Boom hadn't, and I don't know if people thought that Boom had it in him, but holy hell, he showed people that night that he was made of a lot harder and tougher stuff than I think a lot of people realize. I think that's the switch that I think you were talking about, where people were like, okay, what's going to happen here? And then it got really serious really fast. It was like, oh crap, here we go.
Yeah,
We're off. We're off to the races.
Kind of like, oh, massive shout out. If anybody's, obviously, well, not if anyone, hopefully some people are watching this. If you can find it anywhere, if Tidal still have it in stock on DVD, go purchase this show purely for this Lego match. It was unreal. You've never seen one like it. It's absolutely, it was awesome. So, when I say Boom just turned up for that, because I think a lot of people expected it to be like 5 minutes and then he'll find a way out of it, and just the match wouldn't go ahead or something.
Yeah, something like that. But no, he did great. He did great.
Yeah. Rampage is another guy you've mentioned, and he's a name that pretty much comes up every time I speak to anyone, just regarding British wrestling. It's been said a few times now, and I've said it back, where I'm going to try and get this to stick, where he's just the Obi-Wan of British wrestling, and that seems to be the consensus when it comes to Rampage Brown.
Him just being in any locker room is him being there is just respect. Like, there's no, if he's there, he is, you know it's serious, because he's not on bad shows. He's not on he is like the Godfather. He is do you know what, I mean this, he is probably, from stuff we've seen about the Undertaker after he's retired, I would go as far as calling him the English Undertaker, because him being around, he's just like, he will tell you if you fucked up. He will tell you if you've done a good job, and he will also help you and say, look, you could have done that, you could have done this. Him just being there was enough for people to realize that, okay, Rampage is here. You better not screw up tonight, because he'll tell you if you have, but he'll tell you if you've done a good job at the same time. He's the man. He's the man.
Firm but fair.
Oh, absolutely. But like I say, he is the man. Absolute man. Like, I still keep like an eye on British wrestling and stuff. But when I saw that he got, I guess, re-signed, if you like, to the company, the WWE, particularly to the NXT UK brand, I was like, okay, that's great, because he well deserves to be in this business for as long as possible, because he's got so much knowledge, and he's done so much up and down this country and in other countries. Let's just not forget that as well. So he more than deserved that. He is like I said, he's the man for sure.
The Godfather of British wrestling. I like that. Well, I'll alternate between that and the Obi-Wan of
Obi-Wan. I like the Obi-Wan's a cool one. I like that. That's a great one.
I think I came from I'll credit Molly Spartan with that one, because she sort of said it was basically, the story went is, if somebody worked with someone and they weren't up to a certain level and there was in two minds about working with them again, as soon as the other person said, or you heard, oh, he's been trained by Rampage, it's been going to Rampage's school now, it was suddenly like, yeah, that's fine, I'll work with him then. It's like literally as soon as you know somebody's trained by Rampage, that's it, it's sorted.
That's the credibility that guy, but that's the credibility and the respect that he holds. Like, just the mere mentioning of his name, and everyone's like, okay, cool, no problem.
That's awesome. I love it. It's just a natural. It always amazes me as well, though, because I hear these he's firm and fair, but he's a scary looking dude. I mean, I've been in the audience a few times and he's made eye contact with me, and I've just been like, oh, crap, I'm just gonna go outside for 5 minutes.
Honestly, like I say, firm but fair. That's a great. He is. He just, he demands. He carries that respect, whether you're just talking to him or whether it's in the ring, and that intensity as well. People, to bring it every time you step foot in that ring, and to be that intense and that physical and that good on that level every single time you get in that ring. That's then again that's why he's been as successful as he is, and that's why the mere mentioning of his name of being the trainer is enough for people to go, oh, you were trained by Rampage? Yeah, cool, I'll work you, that's fine, no problem.
Come on in. You mentioned earlier about being on the road, being in cars. Obviously, a massive part of the business, from what we hear, is the traveling. Some people love it, some people hate it. Apparently, some people, they've told me stories about being sat in cars for hours, just talking shop, and absolutely loving every moment of it. And then some people are just like, I fucking hate it. I'll stay in my town if I can, and that's it. Where did you sit on the whole sort of traveling side of things? Were you a fan of chatting the breeze, or would you just be like, no, I don't want to?
I liked it. I didn't mind it. I was, again, like I said, I was really lucky because of just being in Leeds. I was very lucky to share cars with Liggs, with Kirby, with Rampage, occasionally with Nathan Cruz as well, if he'd come over from Hull and get the train over, and then we'd drive down. I didn't have a driving license at this point, so I was like really lucky because I would be driven by these guys. So it really kind of should have been the other way around. I should have been driving these guys, as as you hear stories of refs and stuff doing all the travel. But so for me, a lot of it was get in the car and like I said there, just shut up and listen and chip in here and there and ask questions, man. Oh my god, just ask as many flipping questions as you can, and I did. And you just learn stuff, and effectively, even though I was like older than some of them, I was the wrestling young boy. I was the one that would just listen.
The baby.
Yeah, I was the baby. Like, I think I was, again, like I said, I was older than a couple of them, but it didn't matter. Like, experience wise, I was like a mere toddler. But I didn't mind it. I think as a referee as well, I knew when I got to a show I was doing either the whole show or half a show. So for me, there wasn't really much sitting around. Once the show started, I was, and I'd be busy from when you get to a show, you're there, you're like, okay, here's your matches, here's the run sheet, times, you as a referee, once you're there, you kind of have a fair bit to do, if you take it as seriously as I did. But so the traveling bit was just fun, and then after the show as well, you on the way back, you talk about the match, talk about the other matches on the show. Again, that's when people talk about if something was really good or something wasn't very good, and so I didn't mind it. I can see why people wouldn't, but I think because you were going to go and do something that you really enjoyed, for me it was something that I didn't mind in the slightest. In the car journeys, now I really enjoyed them.
You get caught up in the excitement of it, kind of thing. I can imagine it being quite enthusiastic in there, but like you sort of said, just a great source of information as well.
It's
if you just sit there, be like a sponge, soak it all up, like say, ask questions.
And you might think as a ref, like, oh, well, there's no other refs in the car with you, what can you learn? It's like, well, you learn off by talking to like all these like names I've just said and stuff. And it's, again, that's just because I was there and I was lucky and I was just able to listen to them and watch them. They'd be saying, well, if you stand there and I do this, what's going to happen? Like, oh, okay, we're going to go in. So I need to, and you end up learning all these guys' moves like inside out. Exactly one move's going to finish into another, into another, into another, into another. And you end up just being able just to walk around the ring and they're doing all their stuff flying around. It's like, oh, Craig's here. Oh, hi. Like, and it's, or when it just, you learn stuff about, when you just learn so much. There isn't enough to be able to open a can and be like, you can learn all this, because you just learn so much. So from car journeys to training sessions and stuff, you put all that together, and that's how you can learn in the business for sure.
So the key thing is, for any inspiring refs out there, in your words, ask questions.
Yeah. Like I don't want to contradict myself by saying shut up and listen, but when the opportunity, and you will feel the opportunity too, like there's, particularly in cars, obviously, like when the conversation is a bit more back and forth and a bit more flowy, you will obviously have opportunities to ask questions and stuff. Particularly, like I said, if you are happening to be traveling with people that are way more experienced than you, so definitely ask questions. They might rib you for the shit questions, but in my head, like, there's no shit questions. So, but you just roll with it. It's all part of the process. So.
But I've never thought about that as well. Because depending on how many matches you're refereeing, you've got like you sort of say, you've got the allocated time to sort of remember. You've got the finishers to kind of to memorize. So you know this, that, and the other. I'm guessing you don't have the luxury of earpieces in a majority of promotions. You just kind of got it all drilled into your head.
Yeah, I only used the earpieces once or twice, maybe, that I can think off the top of my head. No, you know, the wrestlers are told the times. You're obviously, as the ref, you're told the time, and it's I say it's your job. It's everyone's job to stick to time. But yeah, an average show will have 6 to 8 matches on, depending. So you'll have tend to have an interval, obviously. So you'll have 3 or 4, then the break, then 3 or 4. So I would generally, again, if any refs are listening to this, that are like, how do you do it and stuff, I used to just literally split up into 2 halves. If you're in the second half of the show, if anyone comes to you about something, just say, completely get it. I'll come to you this what second I finish and I come to halftime. I'll come and talk to you. The 3 or 4 matches before the interval, that's all you're focusing on, because otherwise you're going to have 8 matches, 8 finishes, 8 times. And if you can remember all that, brilliant. You'll go a long way. Personally, I was like, there's no point putting yourself under that level of stress when you don't actually have to, and you can come back later on and check everything before you go back out for the second half, and then it's almost like another mini show in itself. So you can just take it all on board then if you can. So that's how I used to do it.
That's a good shout. Yeah, be sensible and realistic in what you can actually, you know, do.
Try and make it easy for yourself, man. Don't try and impress people by going, oh, I can remember everything. It's like, no, you don't have to do that. You just look
go in and be Rain Man. Yeah, just it's not going to impress anyone. It's just going to be like, yeah, keep it simple. And then just do what you do, kind of thing. That's a very good shout. I am gonna try a new segment with you. I'm trying to brainstorm ways of sort of ending shows and wrapping them all up so it doesn't feel very abrupt. Sure. I want to ask you a few questions where you've got a multiple choice. So I'm going to give you 2 wrestlers, sort of known rivals.
Okay.
On sort of, so which side of the fence you sort of sit on when it comes to. Are you still watching wrestling now?
Yes, still. Mate, I watch WWE, NXT, but AEW, big fan of AEW.
Yes.
Keep an eye on NWA. There's a lot going on around NWA at the moment, so it's a good company to be looking at. And because of the relationship AEW have with Impact, I found myself just mainly catching up on YouTube. But and Impact's actually a really good show. So like, it might not have the eyes or the level of fan base as it once did, but I tell you what, their shows are still really, really solid shows. So
I struggled with Impact through the Global Bastard because they didn't do anything to counteract the no fans. It was just no fans. The matches, the shows were great, but I just couldn't get in that headspace of just being nothing there kind of thing. So I fully agree with you. Impact is a great show. The talent they've got is awesome. Scott Demore's great, and he's doing an awesome job there kind of thing. So yeah, massive shout out to Impact. So, but the defense questions, I'll call them for now until I get a better name.
Defense, cool, go for it.
Defense questions. We have got Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels.
Shawn Michaels.
Shawn Michaels?
Okay. Shawn Michaels, all day. Shawn Michaels.
Okay. Right, we've got, it might be a toughie to do ECW, but RVD, Sabu.
RVD.
Yes, good man.
RVD.
1 for 2, I'll give you that one. What else we got? We've got, right, I'll make it a 3-point question with, no, I won't. Macho Man and Hogan. Macho Man, Hogan.
I don't like either of them personally. Okay,
Hogan and Warrior.
Oh God. I'll
Hogan and Sting.
Sting.
There we go.
Sting.
We'll get there. I'm going to fine tune these questions at some point. I'll face it down to people's. I can't believe you don't like Macho Man though, man. What the hell?
I don't know if it was just because it was a bit before I obviously started getting really into it in like the late 90s, but I don't know.
That's
I
before my
guess,
time to a point, but
I suppose so. I don't know. I guess you could just gravitate to certain people who you just kind of understand them a bit more. And I guess out of all those guys you just said, I thought like Sting is. I know he's still going a bit, doing bits and bobs today in AEW, but no, I do like Sting. He seems like a sound guy.
right, got two left. We're gonna go AJ Styles and Samoa Joe.
Oh, dude, that's hard for a completely different reason. Oh god, I'm having flashbacks to TNA like 2006, 2005, 2006.
Yes. I made it 10 times worse as well. Styles, Daniels,
wait.
Joe.
When obviously we're basing Macho Man and Sting and Hogan all back from that era. What versions of AJ and Samoa Joe, or is it just the culmination of both?
Everything. If I just said pick one,
everything.
Pick, yeah.
AJ Styles.
There's no wrong answer, by the way. Any of these guys.
He was my favorite when I first kind of really discovered Impact, TNA. And they had the old NWA World Title part of their company and stuff. AJ was the first guy. I was like, "You're different. I don't know who you are, but I like you. What you about?" So AJ.
The day, man, when he slid under the guardrail.
Yeah, when he had the yeah.
Like when he's fighting Abyss, the matches he had with Abyss.
Yeah. King. Do you remember King AJ? Or was it Prince or King AJ? He's part of Anglo Alliance and Christian Coalition, and it was long time ago.
He's been a young Ric Flair at one point. What he got, I think, Ric Flair wannabe. Mm-hmm. He's been, they didn't really know what to do with him, which is stupid. It's AJ Styles, for God's sake. So the last one, this is the biggie, and this may determine how nicely I edit this video. So no pressure. Austin or The Rock?
Austin.
Yes, good man. You will be edited favourably.
Thank you.
That was it. I just wanted to try something new just to finish it off.
Brilliant.
It's fun as well. Dude, thank you so much for coming on. I've kept you on for an hour plus.
Oh, that's cool, man. Mate, thank you for having me. I've loved. It's been really enjoyable talking about old stuff, and there's like these chats you have with any of the people like me or wrestlers, ring announcers, whoever. There'll always be hours and hours and hours we could talk for and about people we've wrestled or refed or whatever, or worked with or seen and stuff. So I just thanks very much, and thanks for Dan for putting my name in the hat, and you gave me a text a while ago, so appreciate it. Thanks, man.
Oh no, dude, it won't be a one-off either as well. A lot of these ones I try and keep it to now, so we can probably get like a second hour at some point down the line if you want to come back on, and just continue the chat. That's I have a good time doing them, so it's no skin off my nose. I'm happy to talk again whenever. So you want to? Have you got any social? Obviously, you're not really. I don't know if you want to.
No, I've the one thing I started doing a little bit was I started doing a bit on Twitch, doing like a bit of streaming of mainly FIFA, a bit of Football Manager, nothing crazy. But I've started doing a bit of streaming football games and stuff. But and me and because we had a wrestling podcast for a while called Dirt Sheet Mania ourselves that we had, and then we kind of, again, it's just life just kind of gets in the way a lot. So but I don't know, like if someone called me up tomorrow and said, Craig, can you ref this show? I don't think I'd say no. So I don't know, really. We'll see. Mate, like with anything in wrestling, never say never. Never say never. So
you're about as solid as a Flair retirement.
A Hulk Hogan retirement.
A Terry Funk retirement.
Exactly. There you go. Exactly. There you go.
Dude, I'll send me the details for the Twitch stuff, and I'll throw it in the description, man. I'll put it out there. Spread the word for you as well. And obviously, anybody watching this down south, if you need a ref, hook my man up.
I've still got all my gear. I've still got the shirts and everything. So I'll never chuck it. Like it's nothing. I'll never chuck it or sell it. Like it'll just be something I'll keep because it's a memory. It's it's something I'll always keep.
If you do, that one moment where if you do think, oh, sorry, that's it, I'm done, I'm going to sell it. The next day you get a phone call and being like, yeah, Craig, can you help us out? And you'd be like, oh.
Exactly. Well, that's probably and I tell you what as well, ref shirts very hard to find, very, very hard to find. All
Couldn't
mine
you just
come.
be shit off a Foot Locker employee?
All mine come from America.
Oh,
I'm
really?
pretty sure. Yeah, Dan's. We used to. We're going off tangent, but we used to have to, like when we wanted some, we would have to like, a couple of us would like go, okay, I'll make an order, and we'd order it together because of the shipping, because
Yeah.
it would just be a nightmare to find. But yeah, couldn't get them in England. Too difficult.
Wow, that's gap in the market.
Yeah, it is a bit. It is a bit.
That could be my sidebar. I will do WTLS ref shirts.
Cool, man.
I'll set you 10% of that as well.
Lovely. Well, I'll make fortune. I can retire.
I'll sort you out. Craig, it's been awesome, dude. Thank you so much, genuinely. I will thank you everyone as well for obviously watching. As always, like, subscribe, share, leave us a comment, say hi, and yeah, we'll see you next week.